First, I'm going to provide more of a retrospective on the trends so far this year, speaking to the Merkle Digital Marketing Report that just came out 2 days ago. And then Aaron's going to jump in and speak to some of the things brands should be thinking about looking ahead to the rest of Q4 and even beyond. So to get started, if you're not familiar with our report, we've been putting this out for almost 9 years now. It's covering digital marketing across channels, search, display, social, everything. And we're looking at same site results largely from US based programs. And this is across a client base that has over $1.5 billion in managed media with us annually. So we're looking at a lot of data. We do devote a good amount of time of the report to Google paid search. It is still the largest single channel for most of the brands that we work with, and it's critical to driving high quality traffic to brand sites. Kind of looking at the trends at the quarterly level, we definitely saw a slowdown in growth in Q2 as the effects of the pandemic really took hold. Our results were not quite as weak as what we heard officially from Google. I think they had a high single-digit decline in revenue for their ad business. We were still seeing growth in Q2, but we did see a significant slowdown. From Q2 to Q3, though, we did see an acceleration in spending growth. And I think the more dramatic trends have been, what we're seeing on the volume and pricing side here, clicks and CPC, but other channels as well saw similar trends where big spike in volume, as a lot of commerce moved online, but weakness on the pricing here, cost per click side, kind of given all the turmoil going on, and in many cases less competition. So those trends started to normalize a bit, but we're still not back to normal. Click growth still quite elevated from where it was, and CPCs are still weak. And again, that's something that we've seen across channels. Kind of drilling down, one of the reasons our results have been on the stronger side is we do have a pretty strong contingent from retail, and that has been one of the bright spots for digital advertising in the pandemic. In Q3 we had retail spending on Google up 12%. Strong click growth, but weaker CPCs. And then you can see travel is basically on the other end of the spectrum here, spending down 40%. That was an improvement from where we had it in Q2, but volume down, pricing down, and that's been the weak point for us in terms of the trending. At a daily level, you can just see how dramatically, as the pandemic took hold, things started to change here. We saw traffic to travel sites drop, about 80%. We saw a big spike in traffic to retail and e-commerce sites, particularly around the time that stimulus deposits started rolling out in the US. Traffic to retail sites remains elevated from where it was pre-pandemic, but for travel sites, it's still quite a bit down from where we were, but has recovered a good amount of ground since that bottom in late March, early April. In terms of the year-over-year numbers, you can see that spike again in terms of retail sales, but also weaker CPCs. Just like Amazon, kind of at this point famously had struggled to keep up with the demand that it saw. A lot of the brands we work with had struggles with fulfillment as well, and there's just generally been less competition, even as those sales have spiked. But we still see elevated sales going into the fourth quarter, and CPCs down from where they were prior to the pandemic. In terms of the key formats, Google Shopping ads outpacing text ads. Shopping ads have historically outperformed text ads as more traffic has shifted to them over time for retailers. But text ads are still doing all right here as well. Another big factor in recent trends, I mentioned Amazon. They actually had turned off the Google ads that they run for themselves in March. They turned those back on around June, but at least on the text ad side for Google ads, their presence remains quite diminished from what it was. Historically within the retail space, they've been everyone's single largest competitor for Google search impressions and clicks, but at least on the text ad side, they're not quite back where they were even today. On the shopping ad side, they are about back where they were. So that's an interesting change in strategy from them. And, like I said, they're a huge competitor. If you're a retailer out in the space right now, you're going to see Amazon as more of a competitor on the shopping side than on the text ad side.